Hey, Color Guard, let's take a closer look at Competition Suite, your statement, your spiel sheet, and a pre-show for 2023. All right, so there's a lot going on. The floors are getting ordered, the costumes are getting fitted, the equipment work is getting built into your program, the soundtrack is almost done. Let's talk about a couple of things that are going to make your show stand out from other groups this year. We're going to dive in right away and talk about Competition Suite and your the spiel sheet, your blurb there, as well as the new statement. Let's go ahead and take a look at our organization as a group and make sure that we've got current and accurate information. So this is for the Copacabana Winter Guard, and the show title is Rico. He wore a diamond. I put that in there and I hit save. I also make sure that my director's name is in there. The director's name is Barry Shanelo. And I've got the group city as Dayton. And I'm going to make sure that I have the correct information for the state, which is Ohio. Directors of the primary contact email. We'll do jshaw@mipa-circuit.org and save that. Again, if you think you've got this done, it does not hurt to go back and look one more time. Number of performers is important. So we've got 25 kids in our guard. Make sure that that's there because that's the wristbands that you're getting for Nutter Center and for other contests. And if that's different, penalties can be brought upon here. Here's something new. We have boxes here that say, hey, does my group have a pre-show? And we're going to talk about pre-show in just a minute. That's the extra music that's going to play before your second announcement. And like I said, we'll talk about that in a minute. But if you are using a pre-show, if you are setting the mood for your contest without being judged, if you are setting the mood, you need to say yes. You don't need to, but it's very helpful that you say yes, you have a pre-show. If you don't know what a pre-show is and you're not interested in doing one, just type in no. But the Copacabana Color Guard has a pre-show, so we're going to do that. Also, my soundtrack for the Copacabana Color Guard has the second announcement already built into the show. So the pre-show is going to start and go on and go on and go on. It's going to play her name was Lola, and her name was Lola, and her name was Lola, and it's going to go on and on. But at the time that I know that my track is ready or that our group is ready, the track will automatically say, performing their program, the Mideast Performance Association is proud to present. This is built in, so I am indicating as yes. Yes, my group includes the second announcement in our pre-show, and I'm going to hit save. And again, if you want things done normally, if you want to look at the TMP person and have the TMP person cue the box to announce your show, the second announcement, just hit no there. So now let's talk about the show description for the color guard. This is new. This just came out, and this is what the topic of this whole video is about, right? The first half of this video is about. This is what used to be known as the spiel sheet blurb or your insight sheet if you're a world class, or I believe that was offered in other classes as well. But this is your 300 characters that you should put in about what your show is about. This is what the judges will see as you're coming onto the floor. So please make sure you've got something great. What do you want them to see? What kind of story are you about to tell? So hit save there and everything will be great. So if I go back, hit another link, and then I click on organization data one more time, everything that I've just put in there is uploaded. And you'll notice that this is for Mideast Performance Association on the left. A little tip that I would like for you to know as well, if you're going to WGI, if you're a WGI ensemble and you put this into your WGI profile, not your MIPA profile, if you put this in your WGI profile, the show description will not show for the staff of MIPA. It will show for the judges, but it will not show for the MIPA staff. We will not have any idea what you're talking about when you say, hey, our announcement or our statement is not in there. We can't see it. If you put it into your Mideast Performance Association profile, we will see it, and then we can help you if you ever got caught in a pinch. So that's a basic description about what your show description is. And please, again, go through your spiel sheet info here and update everything so that it is current for this season. Now that we've talked about the back end of things, the things going on in competition suite, the pre-show announcement, the statement, let's talk about the pre-show itself. What are the rules? What are the times like? What kind of announcement can I use? What exactly should we say? For more information on that, we're going to use a video from WGI, and here's Dale Powers.
Hi everybody, I'm Dale Powers, the Director of Color Guard for WGI. So let's start off with Rule 6.6, and this is the rule that talks about pre-shows. One of the exciting changes that happened this season was by the Color Guard Advisory Board when they voted to allow all units in all classes to have pre-shows. Basically what that means is that you can have music during the setup process of your show. Now there's a couple of things you need to know about that process. The first one is that once you cross your timeline, and that's the point where once you come onto the floor, you open up your floor to the halfway point, and then the timing and penalty judge says go, and you can cross over and start to open up your floor. That begins your interval time. Pre-shows cannot start for 1 minute after that interval time begins. That's because at certain Power Regional shows and championships, we run commercials. So you'll be 1 minute into your interval time, and there will be no pre-show allowed. At the 1 minute mark, you can then start to play music. Now this can be music that you can use as mood music. You can just have a piece of music that you want to use while you're setting up your equipment. And this would all be after they make the initial announcement as you cross that timeline that says, now entering the floor, XYZ unit. 1 minute later, you can start music, and that can just be something that you use to accompany your unit when you're setting up. The next thing that I want to discuss with you is the timing of your second announcement. The announcement that says performing their show, ... If the unit doesn't designate a time, 1 minute and 30 seconds after you cross the timeline, start your interval, that announcement will be made if you're an A-class or an open class unit. So if you're an A-class unit, you cross the timeline, 1 minute later you want to start music, 1 minute and 30 seconds after you're into your interval time, that announcement will be made by the timing and penalty judge. Now, he wouldn't actually make the announcement, they'll point to the announcer. You can designate when you want that time to happen. Some groups set up really quickly, some take a lot longer. So you cross over the timeline, and you can say, I want the second announcement to happen at 2 minutes and 10 seconds, or I want it to happen at 1 minute and 45 seconds. And at that point, the timing and penalty judge will start it at that time. Now you have to designate that time to the T&P judge when you come onto the floor. So you have to come from the doorway, your color guard gets to the halfway point, you would go to the T&P judge and say, I want to have my second announcement at 1 minute and 45 seconds. You can do this whether you have a pre-show or not. So you can have music playing and have your announcement delayed, or you can not have it. You can just be setting up on the floor and the parents are all yelling and everybody's crazy, and then you still say, I want my announcement at 1:45 because we have props or the kids have a lot of equipment, etc. If you're a World Guard, the announcement automatically comes at 2 minutes. Again, any unit can pick the time that they want that announcement to be, but if you don't pick a time, it's going to happen at 1 minute and 30 seconds if you're an A or an Open Guard, or 2 minutes if you're a World Guard. The third thing that I want to bring to your attention is the pre-recorded announcement. That is what we call the second announcement, and that is the one that would happen at 1 minute and 30 seconds or 2 minutes unless you designate another time. And that announcement is the one that says, performing their show, blah, 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 XYZ Color Guard. You can put that recorded announcement into your pre-show music if you have music. And the only stipulation is it has to be exactly as it's worded in the rule book. If you choose to record it yourself in the soundtrack, it can be something that goes along with the theme of your show. For instance, last year, AMP, who was an independent world, did it in a voice that was fitting into their vampire theme.
Performing their program, Immortalis Maledictum, WGI's Sparta of the Arts is proud to present AMP.
The only stipulation was that it had to be the exact words in the book, and that's something you need to be careful of. We've had units who've approached WGI announcers to record it for them in their soundtrack, We've had people that have done it thematically to fit their show. That's completely up to you. If you choose to go that route and have the announcement built into your soundtrack, then you have to tell the timing and penalty judge that it's built into your soundtrack, so then they will tell the announcer there is no second announcement. Okay, we have had cases in the past where we weren't told ahead of time and it was in the recording, and then also the announcer was making the recording. So all you have to do is go to the timing and penalty judge at the very beginning and say, we have a pre-show and the second announcement is in our soundtrack, and he'll take it from there. They'll notify the announcer there's no second announcement, and when the announcement comes through, just like it would if it was made by an announcer, that's when judging starts. I do want to clarify one point about your pre-show. Pre-shows are not judged. In fact, they are not typically watched by judges. I would wager to say they're not watched by judges because they're wrapping up the previous unit that they just judged. You won't get comments on your pre-show, and anything you do during your pre-show is not evaluated as part of your show. It's just used for you to set up maybe the mood or the theme of your show. Some people like the continuity of having something that ties in their whole show and there's no break through the process. And if you put the second recording into your music, that's great too. So let me wrap up real quick. 3 things you need to be concerned with. You can't start your pre-show until 1 minute into your interval time. You would tell the T&P judge when you come on the floor, I have pre-show music, and he'll tell you, stand right there with you, and he'll point out when 1 minute is. At that point, all you need to worry about is then informing us if the announcement is in the recording, because unless you say otherwise, he's going to point to the announcer at a designated time, and your second announcement will start. Now, you can still have that second announcement over your pre-recorded music at a designated time, like I said, but you have to tell us. A couple of things you can't do. You can't say, I'm going to go up into the stands and point to the timing and penalty judge. You have to have a staff person who stays with the timing and penalty judge. So you'd come on the floor, you'd have somebody stand with them. We have a pre-show. I'll tell you when I want the second announcement. The person would stand there and they would tell the T&P judge now, and the second announcement would happen. Or you'd come on the floor and say, I have a pre-show and the second announcement's pre-recorded, you don't need to make it. Then off you can go up into the stands. Or the third one is you don't have a pre-show, but you want the second announcement to be at a certain time, 2 minutes into your setup, 2 minutes and 10 seconds, however it is. And the reason I want to caution you on that and making sure that you test this in rehearsal is because once that second announcement is made, the first movement by a member of the color guard starts your show time. The amount of time your show, the maximum amount of time, begins at the first movement after that announcement. If your color guard is not set up at 1 minute and 30 seconds and the second announcement starts, that's when the show time is going to begin. So it's really important that you know our setup takes 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And you tell the T&P judge, I'd like the second announcement at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So that way your kids know they come on the floor, they do their normal setup, they put all their equipment there, they're in their spots, second announcement happens. Now, nothing changes in your interval time, so even if you have a pre-show, you still only have 8 minutes if you're an A guard, 9 if you're an open, and 10 if you're a world guard for your total interval time. So remember, your first minute, there's nothing, and then if you choose to delay the second announcement for the beginning of your show, you still have to be off by the end of your interval time. So I hope this clears up a really exciting, important new rule that we put in place. I think there's a lot of groups that will do some very clever things with this. As far as we're concerned, we want everybody to have that opportunity, but understand those rules. But hopefully this helps a lot of people get prepared for this exciting new change.
Thank you to Dale and the WGI for that great video. So there you have it. That's what you need to know about your statement, your spiel sheet, your pre-show, your announcement, and all things timing and penalty related when it comes to getting your show on the floor. If you have any questions about this information, please reach out to your guard rep or feel free to reach out to Heather or Jody, and they'll talk to you about these things as well. If you have questions or maybe some design ideas, we hope you use this information. It was good and useful, and we hope you use it for your advantage and for the viewing audience's pleasure and enjoyment, and really engages your audience for a great contest show that you have this year.